They celebrated his defeat. They gathered in their circles. They whispered his name like it was already past tense, like he was a story that had already ended. They saw him fall. They watched the moment the ground took him, and in their minds they closed the book. They assumed the last chapter had been written, but they misunderstood one thing. He was defeated, not finished. Those are not the same thing. They never were. And the most dangerous human being alive is the one who understands the difference. Let me tell you something about defeat that most people are too afraid to say out loud. Defeat is not a gentle thing. It does not arrive quietly. It does not knock on your door and wait for permission. Defeat arrives like a collapse, like the ground disappearing beneath your feet without warning. One moment you are standing, and the next, everything you built, everything you believed about yourself is on the floor. And the weight of it is not just the loss itself. The weight of it is everything that comes after. The silence, the way people stop calling, the way rooms feel different when you walk into them, the way you catch people looking at you and you know exactly what they are thinking. That he tried. That he failed. That maybe he was never as strong as he thought. That look, that quiet, pitying, calculating look is sometimes more devastating than the defeat itself. Because defeat has a way of turning inward. It does not stay in the room where it happened. It follows you home. It sits at the table with you at night. It whispers to you in the moments between sleep and waking, when your defenses are down, when there is no performance to maintain, when it is just you and the raw, honest truth of where you are. And in those moments, defeat asks one question: is this who you are? That question is the real test, not the failure itself. Not the lost opportunity, not the rejection, not the humiliation, not even the judgment of people who were never in the arena with you. The real test is what you answer when defeat asks you that question in the dark. Most people in that moment say yes, not with their words, not consciously, but with their choices. They start to move smaller. They start to dream smaller. They stop raising their hand. They stop trying things that might not work. They build their entire life around the avoidance of feeling that pain again. And slowly, without ever making a single dramatic decision, they surrender. Not in one moment, but in 1,000 small moments of not trying, of not starting over, of choosing the comfort of a smaller life over the uncertainty of a greater one. They let defeat become their identity. And that is the true tragedy. Not the fall, the decision to stay down. But there is another kind of person. This person does not announce themselves. They do not post about their comeback. They do not perform their resilience for an audience. They do not need your applause or your validation or your belief. They get up in private. They assess the damage in silence. And they begin. Not explosively, not dramatically, quietly, because real rebuilding is not cinematic. Real rebuilding is waking up on a Tuesday morning when nobody is watching and doing the work anyway. It is choosing discipline on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. It is making one better decision today than you made yesterday and doing the same thing again tomorrow. And the day after that, and the day after that, without expectation of immediate reward. That is not inspiring to watch. It is not designed to be. It is designed to work. This is what most people misunderstand about comebacks. They watch someone return from failure, and they see the return, but they do not see the months and years of invisible work that made the return possible. They see the result, and they assume it happened quickly, or that the person had something they do not have, some special quality that was given to them at birth that made resilience easier. That is a comfortable lie. The truth is harder. The truth is that the person who came back simply refused to stop. Not because it was easy, not because they were fearless, but because they understood something that most people never learn. Failure is data. Every loss, every rejection, everything that did not work is information. It is the world telling you something about your approach, your timing, your preparation, your blind spots. Most people experience that information as punishment. They experience failure as proof of their inadequacy. But the ones who come back, they experience failure as instruction. They sit with it. They examine it without the armor of ego. They ask difficult questions. What did I miss? What did I avoid? Where was I dishonest with myself? Where did I cut corners I should have held? And then, they do something most people are not willing to do. They apply what they learned. With discipline, without excuses, without the luxury of self-pity. Self-pity is one of the most seductive traps that defeat sets for you. Because self-pity feels like reflection. It feels like you are processing something important. It wears the mask of emotional honesty. But self-pity is not honesty. Self-pity is the art of staying in the wound without ever treating it. It keeps you warm. It keeps you company. It gives you a story that explains your situation without requiring you to change it. It gives you permission to stay exactly where you are. And if you stay in self-pity long enough, it starts to feel like identity. The strong person, the person who actually comes back, they learn to feel the pain without living inside it. They grieve what needs to be grieved. They acknowledge what went wrong. They sit with the discomfort of honest self-assessment. And then they stand up. Not because the pain is gone, but because they understand that movement is not the absence of pain. It is the choice to move in spite of it. That distinction will determine the entire direction of your life. Let me speak plainly about something. Discipline is not glamorous. The word gets used in motivational content as though it is a feeling, as though the disciplined person wakes up every morning fired up and ready, full of certainty and energy and conviction. That is not what discipline is. Discipline is doing what needs to be done when you do not want to do it, when you are tired, when you are uncertain, when the outcome is not guaranteed, when nobody is watching, when there is no reward in sight, when doubt is louder than confidence. When you have been at it for months and the results are still invisible, that is the real face of discipline. And it is not exciting. It is not cinematic. It is quiet, and it is hard, and it is done alone in rooms that nobody else will ever see. But here is the truth about that invisible work. It compounds. Every day that you show up when it would have been easier to stop, you are not just completing a task, you are building something far more valuable than the task itself. You are building the evidence that you are the kind of person who does not quit. And over time, that evidence accumulates inside you. It becomes the foundation of a confidence that cannot be shaken by a single setback, because it was built by surviving hundreds of them. That is not a gift. That is not luck. That is constructed, one choice at a time, in silence, over months and years of refusing to accept defeat as a final answer. I want you to consider two people for a moment. Both of them fail at something significant. The failure is real. The loss is real. The pain is identical. They start from exactly the same place. The first person experiences the defeat and makes a quiet, barely conscious decision. They decide that the defeat revealed something true about them, that they were not built for this, that the risk was foolish, that the world was telling them to be realistic, to expect less, to want smaller things. They step back. They protect themselves. They choose the known quantity of a life without great effort over the unknown result of continuing. And slowly, they disappear into safety. The second person experiences the exact same defeat, the exact same pain, the same doubt, the same silence, the same loss. But this person makes a different, quiet decision. They decide that the defeat revealed something true about the process, not about them. They decide that the fall is a moment, not a verdict. They go back to the foundation. They work, they adapt, they return. 5 years later, these two people are unrecognizable from each other. Not because of talent, not because of luck, not because one was given something the other was not, but because of a single decision made in the dark when defeat asked the question, and one person gave a different answer. History is not kind to comfort. Every person whose name you know from history, every artist, every leader, every builder, every thinker, every creator who changed something about the world was defeated. Repeatedly, without exception. There is not a single name worth knowing that arrived without failure. They were rejected before they were accepted. They were wrong before they were right. They were laughed at before they were respected. They were broken before they were rebuilt. They were counted out before they were counted on. What separated them from the people who disappeared into obscurity was not the absence of defeat. It was the refusal to let defeat be the last sentence. Abraham Lincoln failed in business. He lost election after election. He suffered public humiliation, personal tragedy, years of depression. He did not stop. Thomas Edison failed at his experiments hundreds of times before he found what worked. He described each failure not as a dead end, but as the elimination of a path that did not lead where he needed to go. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. He was told he was not good enough. He became the most studied competitive athlete of the modern era, not despite the rejection, but in part because of what the rejection ignited in him. These are not fairy tales. These are documented records of human beings choosing not to stop. And now let me speak to you directly. Not as a crowd. As you. You know what you have been through. You know what you lost. You know the thing that happened that made you question everything about yourself. You know the conversation you had with your own mind in the quiet hours when the official version of you was off and the real version sat alone with the weight of what happened. I am not here to minimize it. It was real. The pain was real. The loss was real. The doubt was real. The feeling that maybe this is simply too much. That maybe this time you genuinely cannot come back from this. That feeling was real, but feelings are not facts. And the fact is, you are still here. The fact is, this story has not ended. The fact is, defeat has not had the final word yet. Because you are still reading, you are still listening. You are still, somewhere in you, searching for the thing that confirms what a part of you already knows. That you are not finished. The world will not wait for you. Time will not slow down while you decide. The people who doubted you are not sitting in suspense, hoping you prove them wrong. Life moves. The question is whether you move with it. You do not need to be explosive about this. You do not need to announce anything. You do not need to perform your recovery for an audience. You do not owe anyone a dramatic comeback story. You just need to decide. In the quiet of wherever you are right now, with no witness but yourself, you need to decide what defeat means to you. Whether it is the story that ends you, or the chapter that changes you. Whether it becomes the ceiling of your life, or the foundation of something greater than what you had before. That decision belongs to you alone. Nobody can make it for you. Nobody can sustain it for you. Nobody can do the work that only your hands can do. But the decision, that first, quiet, private decision to get back up, is yours to make. Defeat is an event. It is not a person. It is not a verdict. It is not a life sentence. It is not a revelation of your permanent limits. It is a moment. A single, painful, humbling, devastating moment that will pass the same way every other moment has passed before it. What you do after that moment is who you are. Not the fall, not the failure, not the loss. What you do after. The hardest seasons are the ones that reveal who you actually are beneath everything external. And what they reveal about you is that you are still here, still thinking, still searching, still not willing to close the book. That means something. That means everything. Go to work. Not tomorrow. Not when the conditions are better. Not when the doubt is quieter. Not when you feel ready. You may never feel ready. Readiness is often a story we tell ourselves to justify the delay. Go to work now, exactly as you are. With the doubt still present, and the wound still healing, and the future still uncertain. Go to work in silence if you have to. Go to work without an audience. Go to work without a guarantee. Go to work knowing that nobody may notice for a long time, and that it does not matter whether they notice, because this is not for them. This is for the person you are becoming. Build with discipline. Move with patience. Think with clarity. Act without excuses. Hold the standard even when nobody is enforcing it. Show up even when nobody is watching. Do the work that needs to be done, even when it is hard and slow and thankless and invisible. And one day, without a dramatic announcement, without a performance, you will simply be standing where they thought you could not stand. Not because you were invincible, but because you refused to stop. They thought the story was over. They thought the fall was the ending. They thought defeat and finished meant the same thing. They were wrong. You were defeated. You are not finished. Now prove it, in silence, one day at a time. If this reached you where you needed it, comment below. Defeated, not finished. Let those words be the first line of the next chapter.